Hey, good morning. No, there we are. Roger Rabbit, how you doing? Guess what? I overslept this morning for our exclusive morning coffee. I haven't even got coffee yet. Look at me. I was having one of those not so fun insomniac type of nights. And I came down and I sat on the sofa at about 2 this morning. And then I was earlier than that, 1:30. And guess what? I fell asleep there. And I woke up a couple of times in there and I fell asleep again. So my apologies. How about that? Um, so I just woke up this morning and it looks like this actually worked this time. Everything is working. And so Roger is still here. I saw that Audrey made it in about an hour and a half ago. An hour, or oh boy, yeah, what was that be? No, about 37 minutes ago. And there's Roger was here. And so good morning. And so I'm sorry about that. It was total human error this morning. I did not wake up. And I think I left my phone with my alarm on it, which I set to make sure that I'd be awake at 5:30 so I could get in here by 6 o'clock with brewed coffee. And there you go. So my apologies to my members. And there's two of you still here. I think it's you and me, Roger. And why don't you hang tight? I'm gonna leave this all running and I'm gonna go start brewing my coffee. So you give me about 2 minutes here and I'll be right back without my coffee, but we'll get rolling here. So sit tight right there. Hey Audrey, how you doing? I see you're still here. And look, the chat is working. Everything is working. I spent probably 4 hours of my day yesterday strung together, not talking, but typing to people because they only let you chat. There's no phone calls for tech support or anything. With all the people that use YouTube, they don't have a very good tech department. It's all got to be done by, yeah, hallelujah, say hallelujah. So there is no school today, so I don't have to be out of here at 7 o'clock. So we'll still do our full whatever. There's no time limit today. We can end early, we can go long. So this is my morning face. So I just woke up. I'm gonna go brew my coffee right now, and for you, this is boy, maybe this is like the matchbook courage. This is as authentic as it gets for me. My apologies for waking up late, and I had a rough insomniac night early on, and uh, I came downstairs and I fell and I was out of place, and I didn't have my phone, which was upstairs in the bedroom, and so. Yeah, I am glad the chat is working. I discussed this. We were going to take, I was supposed to take videos or pictures of it this morning to show them what wasn't working about it. And so this is our members only chat. There won't be a lot of people in here. It'll just be we members. So whoever is here, whoever checked it out. So I'm going to do this because I actually did not wake up on time this morning due to my being playing the wild insomniac last night. And uh, give me a couple of minutes. I'm gonna go brew coffee. I'm gonna leave this open. You might hear sounds, clinking of glasses, things like that out there. But give me a minute, and I'll be right back because I'm gonna go brew some coffee. Sit tight. I could sing out in the kitchen. La 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 la. I'm still coming. You just chill, kitty. Cat thinks he's starving, which he's not. All right. All right. Coffee is brewing. It's not on yet. It's not done yet, but it's working on it. So let me make sure all my lights are adjusted and everything is in order here. I look really up close today for some reason. So you're working. Audrey, what do you do? What do you do when you're up? If you don't mind sharing with us, what are you up at 4:30 in the morning, quarter to 5, your time working? Is it work? Is it work on other project work? What keeps you up? Because you're here at 10 o'clock at night, which is between 9 and 10, which is between, well, 7 and 8, your time in the evening. And then you're here again at 4 in the morning. So what's up over there that you're working already? Yeah, that's the thing, Roger. My cat actually came upstairs yesterday at about 5 in the morning and start meow, meow, trying to wake me up because he wanted me to feed him. It's like, I never feed you at 5 in the morning. What's your problem? Oh, you work in the mortgage industry. So you're settling mortgages and are you an underwriter? Are you the person I need to go to get my mortgage loan approved? So, oh, trying to wake my face up. I feel awake, my head's awake, and all of that. So, but I did want to talk this morning about, I don't like to get into politics, but there's something I wanted to have a discussion about what's going on with things. This whole bill to the stimulus package. I'm going to talk more about that on Intrepid Radio tonight. But I wanted to just mention it here this morning over coffee with friends and talk about why we think that this is a good thing or a bad thing. And I'll hit it again tonight, so I don't want to overdo it today. But and I don't have all my facts up in front of me this morning yet. But I watched a little speech from President Trump last night, and I know the press treats him right now like he's unimportant because they helped put him where he is now, according to the way they think. But did you ever see, or have you heard? Did you see the speech he gave last night? It was only a few minutes long. At least the clip I saw. It's on my Twitter account, and where I have reposted that. And it was about 5 minutes worth of watching. And he was talking about the things, and he said this is an egregious bill. I don't know why everybody is praising it because we've done so much for the people of America now. Look what we, the Congress, have given you. Yet that poultry $600 for people. Maybe there are people who are looking at that and going, "Hey, I hope that gets in my account before Christmas because I've had no money this year." or a couple. That's a $1,200. Or kid. Now, the reason that I think that it's good for our government to be helping people right now is because our government has helped shut people down for the last 10 months. And um, I believe this all goes into believing whether or not you think that the COVID is being used for political gain, and I think it is. And I don't think the 317,000 deaths that they say out there are all due to COVID. Um, uh, Now that's a lot of deaths, but at the same time, it's not more than we have lost before of people in the United States. It's like flu deaths have bottomed out. There's nothing. It's been nothing. And again, I don't have all my facts in front of me. My wife showed me some of this stuff. That flu death, that there have been no flu deaths. There have been no flu reports. It's dropped to a zero level. And I want to get my facts clear on that to make sure it's exactly what I'm saying. But I've read this in several different places. There's been no reporting of it. You know why? And we usually have tens of thousands of flu deaths per year. How much of that 317,000 is that, or are other things? People had COVID, but they died of other things. So there's a big question there that's out there. I'm going to look into that a little bit for tonight's show. But you look at that, and that has created the problem that we have when we shut everything down and nobody's able to work. And even my business has been affected, and I didn't have to go anywhere. I work right here. And my business was affected by people not buying the kinds of services that I put out there. And so my coffers have been a bit deplete in the last several months. And so, yeah, a shot in the arm would be nice. But what if that shot in the arm, you're finding it's taken all this time and the election held it up? Even Nancy Pelosi admitted that she was waiting to see the election results before they pushed further. Even that statement alone, knowing that the Speaker of the House said very candidly, well, we held this up because of the election. We wanted to see which way the election was going. Well, you still have people out there that needed some stimulus. You still had people out there that needed aid. And yet it got held up for politics' sake. And so people are rightfully a little hot under the collar about this. Now they're hearing it's becoming bread and circuses. They're tossing bread and doing gladiatorial games out there for the public. And this is the $600 a person is supposed to be something that helps people. How fast could you, if you're a single person, if you're a couple, I'm stealing some of my fire for tonight, my thunder for tonight, but how fast do you think you could rip through $600? Has the COVID shutdowns and all that, has that affected you? Yeah, not counting flu for 2020 and 2021. Exactly, Roger. And Audrey, you have a family member that's a Marxist Democrat. She tried to have my mom doxxed. I went after her fast and hard. It's caused a rift within some of my family. What's with people over this stuff? What's with people over this election? I've had the same thing happening to me too. So what you see going on right now, Trump last night or yesterday afternoon sometime, he gave this little speech. He talked about Cambodia, the millions of dollars that were given to Cambodia in this stimulus package. He talked about Vietnam, the millions we're giving them. He talked about Pakistan, the multiple millions, it might even be billions that we're giving them. Some of them is, and also for gender studies in Pakistan. What the hell does that have to do with helping United States citizens? There's a big question out there, folks, and that all came out of the stimulus package. And what you're seeing is you're seeing favors being paid back by senators and by congresspeople. Favors are being paid back in this stimulus bill. Favors over the election. You're seeing now some of this. You can't prove some of the more conspiratorial sounding stuff, but you know what? Shit's happening with this stimulus bill, and there's a very small fraction that's being given to the American people to help them. Why is it being called a stimulus bill in the first place? Look at all the junk and now Trump, he ended and he said, I believe that the $600 is a horrible figure to have decided on for the American public. He says, I think there should be $2,000, and he's going to veto this bill. If he didn't already technically do it last night, if it hasn't been set up to him, I think he said he's going to veto this. He says, unless you come back to me with a clean bill that benefits the American people, even $2,000 a person isn't going to solve all our problems. But a paltry $600 per person, say you're a couple, $1,200 in 1 month or $4,000 in 1 month. What's going to help you more? So, especially if you've been a bit repressed by this whole situation and the economy being so shut down over the last 10 months. So, there it is. And you compare us to other countries and see what other countries are doing for their people. Different forms of government. But remember, all this money is our money anyway. The government doesn't make its own money unless it goes out and prints more. The government's spending your money. This is your tax dollars, and the government is returning some of that to you. But they're returning more to Cambodia and Pakistan and Vietnam and other places like that than they're returning to you, the American citizen. So I'm going to save the rest of that until I study up on this a little bit more today, because I want to have my facts straight. And I don't want this particular little coffee hour to be anything other than us talking amongst each other. I think that this is a great way to start the day. I love sitting down, having coffee. I love watching the sunrise, which it's not quite up yet, or it's dark outside. There might be clouds outside. I haven't seen the sun yet. When we leave for school at 7:30 in the morning, the kids and I, we're usually just seeing the sun cracking up over the horizon. So we are still early. It's pre-sunrise here in the Midwest. And so what are you guys talking about back and forth? I see a lot of type going on over there. Carly, how you doing, Carly? Good to see you. Good morning. Let's see. What all are you doing over there? You have literally have 1,200 deed of trusts that you have to process over the next few days. Holy cow, Audrey. That's a lot of work. So you're processing deeds. And so have you seen the market slow down? When you're processing deeds and you do 1,200 of them, what does that say about the economy? In processing deeds, I'm curious. And so let's see what else we got going on. Yeah, they're not counting flu deaths. I think that there's a lot of hokying around with the numbers, is what I think, and it's for politics' sake. And you know what? Even the vaccines out now, but you still got to wear a mask, and you still got to do this. We still need a shutdown, even though it's like. And some of it is to ensure that there is no recovery at all during the Trump administration. So that is how much the left in this country hates Trump more than they love their country. I can tell you that. And that's why you see what's going on. Let's see. I got a bit of heated discussion with my mother about masks, asking her to show me why wearing one is necessary. Her argument back was basically because they say so. Yeah, that's it. Right. Is that Carly or Roger? Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's it. Because the government tells you should. Well, use the argument my mom used on me when I was a kid. Well, well, I did it because Charlie said it was a good thing to do. Well, will you wear a mask? Will you walk off the end of a long bridge if the government tells you it's right? You know, use the kid argument. Um, Audrey was thinking, dangerous, I know. Some of my other YouTube channel peeps put in the show summary page that all the music has been paid for and doesn't violate any copyright laws. I did have a thing on my header that said the music I'm using is by so and so, and it's paid for. But I did not update that for the new piece of music. So I think they ding you for it anyway, but that's a good idea. I should put that in the header. I should put that on the actual header itself. That the piece of music that I use for my my regular Intrepid radio show. There's actually two pieces of music there. It was one long piece that I didn't pay for the music. I paid a membership to have an all-access membership to use any piece of music from this site. Morning Light Music, they're called. And so I went in and I found a piece of music, and it had all the music I'm using right now. There was like 5 or 6 little sections in this one big long piece I downloaded. And so I used one of the sections for the opening. Doon, doon, hey, doon, doon, that piece. And then I used the very similar piece to that. It's really all the same thing. And it's a little later. It was like the 4th or 5th segment of this section that I downloaded. And I paid for it. I've got a membership, and it auto withdraws out of my account to renew when it needs renewing. And so I have showed YouTube in my dispute. I have showed my license, the number on my license, and this piece of music that I downloaded, and I still get a hit every single day. And I think I started looking up. They have those chat rooms. They're really message boards, like the old message boards that are set up via YouTube users and so on, for this particular organization called, I don't know whose it is, YouTube, because you don't get any real details. I said yesterday, when I actually had a tech on the line, a YouTube person or a Google person that was trying to help walk through what the problem was, why we were having problems with the chat room in the live members only videos. And I asked a couple of times, I said, I need a direct answer. How do I contact Hawk, HAAWK? I'll even type that in the, this is the organization that YouTube says is a third party, independent. They come in and they point out copyright violations and report them. YouTube has told me we don't have anything to do with that. It's not us doing that. I said, yeah, but it's you restricting my account. I said, so you've given a third party person, I asked yesterday, a third party organization the power to restrict my account. And it's almost like you don't really know or care what they're doing. I said, because this is hitting me every day, and I've disputed every one of them every day. And I said, you're wasting my time. I said, I own a license for the copyright of these 2 pieces of music, yet you allow Hawk to hit it every day. I said, do they not keep record? And by the way, the very first day I used this music was almost 2 weeks ago. Not quite 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. Was when I first announced the join my memberships. Remember the video I did? It's got the black and white intro to it with Rainey and I sitting here. She's fixing her hair. She goes, there, I'm ready. And then we start it, and then the music starts playing. It was this new music. That's the first time I used that. That was 2 weeks ago tomorrow. I have been hit with a copyright claim 13 times now over those pieces of music. And I continue to use them. I'm not giving up on it. Um, because so yeah, I went to the same school as the Facebook fact checkers. Exactly, Audrey. And so I have gone in 13 times and disputed it. And I've asked the last probably 10 times, I've asked, do you people keep any records? I said, when you hit my channel for the same two pieces of music every day after I've already written about it since the very first one, I've shown you the documentation that shows I have a license to use this music. I said, and by the way, this Hawk organization already cleared they already answered one of my disputes. And it was over a week ago. They cleared, I think it was like almost 12 days ago. They cleared not the very first one I did, that music, introducing the memberships and the join button and all of that. And I'd been complaining. I said, by the way, I said, you tell me to put out a video to help stir up my memberships. Now, the membership video I put out, that very first one, the join button doesn't even appear on it. I said, because you still have a claim against it. I said, that's starting to sound scammy to me. Like you're preventing me from getting memberships that will pay money, even though YouTube makes 30% off of every membership sale. Now, that's not a hell of a lot of money in my case, but let me tell you something. This Hawk organization already cleared one of my videos of the copyright, but they're holding on to 12 more. Why? It's the same piece of music, and they haven't cleared any of the other ones. Yet they hit me every day with it. And the join button, the all important join button for the business side of what I'm doing, doesn't appear on any video that they've hit me with the copyright claim. And it holds any kind of revenue that might be produced. Now, I'd have to be, my videos would have to be showing in the tens of thousands for me to start making pennies on my videos. It's just the way it works. And I don't have that many hits. I only get, do you realize the Intrepid radio show gets every night the average number I hit for the last 6 months, 38 people view it. Now it ends up having more people view as it goes on through a couple of days, and we'll get 100 people, up to 100 sometimes. But that's all we have watching my show. And there are people that catch it on the radio, on audio via Odyssey Radio. I was told a long time ago I've got 5,000 to 6,000 live listens every night over on Odyssey Radio, and that's for the audio version. But there you go. So that's how it's working on YouTube. And YouTube is it's not allowing me to grow the channel with all of these hits for copyright. So yeah, Hawk on this date, Hawk cleared. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Audrey. And I'll go dig that one out and find when it was that they cleared that. And it was early on. It was like, I think it was the second video I put up, and within a day they cleared it. But they still didn't clear the first one. And they haven't cleared any subsequent ones. So, le sigh, as Pepe Le Pew says. Hey, sit tight. I'm going to walk out in the kitchen and grab my coffee. I'm pretty sure it's brewed by now. And I need some. So sit tight. I'm just going to leave camera on, mic open. I'll be right back. Going for coffee. Going for coffee. Walking the coffee mile. Yeah, kidney, you'll get fed. You know what day it is? Do you know what day it is? Not only is it just hump day, it's screaming Captain Kirk coffee cup day. That's the day. Now I have coffee. So here we go. I give you the morning. Good morning. Happy coffee, everybody. My first sip for today. I got coffee grounds in it. Uh-oh, something went a little haywire with my coffee maker today. Here we go. Oh, beanial goodness. Caffeine in a cup. I like that. Courage and everything else in a coffee cup. Yeah, I wonder where the other intrepeds are. It wasn't a notification. You didn't see a notification, Roger? It's also hard to find that it was live when searching for my Xbox YouTube. Now that's interesting. This is a rad cup, by the way. Yes, Audrey. I don't know. It says we've only got 3 people in here. Maybe it's Audrey, Roger, and me this morning. Now, we don't have a lot of members yet either. So some of our members, if we open this up to the public right now, would you be comfortable with that? I could change this and open it up to the public. I don't know if I can do it in the same stream. Let's see. You didn't receive a notification, Audrey? There's a notification for members only that can go out through YouTube, and I set them up. I set it up yesterday. I had a couple of likes on it, a couple of thumbs up on it. That was for this video. So, yeah, there you go. No excuse, Audrey. Yeah, you're the trend setter. Let me see something here. If we can open this all up. Okay, see, I've got visibility as members only. Why don't we go public? Let's hit public and see what's done. And save it. Boom. There. Now we're actually open to the public. Let's see if the chat, if I have to do the same thing. Live chat is enabled. If I turn off only channel members only, and I enable live chat. See, I can do that all right here. These controls are all right here. Monetization is on. that probably doesn't matter too much with the 3 of us watching. But there, now we are on live. And if you want to let people know and put out an announcement, I don't know if I can. There you go. Members only mode is off. Can you see that right there in the chat room just before Roger's last chat? I've got a little sign coming up that says members only mode is off. And there you go. Exclusive members only just came on. 13 more notifications, it says. There you go. So good morning. Hey, Carly. Yay, now you can chat. All right. Glad to have you in here, and you don't have to be stuck on Roger's old dumb phone. So welcome. Coffee. All right, Audrey. So maybe you'll see. Hey, Teresa. Good to see you. You're a member, but you might not have gotten the notification, or you're just getting up. I don't know what it is. I don't want to speculate, but we got a late start today, as it was anyway. We started about 35 minutes ago, and so we thought we'd open it up for everybody else now that we got rolling. And things were working this morning, which is nice, the way it's supposed to work. And you just got the notification. All right, just now. That's because we opened it up to the public just now. So there was a notification that went out. It's a members only notification. I still don't understand exactly how all the algorithms work on this, how it gets out to you guys. There's supposed to be, when I put up the notification or the video itself for this morning for private members only exclusive video, and it's up there and it's waiting for you to come in, and a couple people came in and thumbs upped it. It allows you to put up a members only notification. So it goes out only to members. Nobody else sees the notification. And there still is some hinks, but it looks like some things have gotten worked out here because our chat is working this morning. It was working in the members only. And so there you go. I did not put the notification up on my Facebook yet. And I was going to mention this in last night's show. Then I was going to mention it this morning in the members only show. And I don't think I did. I'm in Facebook jail right now. And it's over the, if some of you saw it, I'm sure. It was shared over before I got put into Facebook jail for 3 days only. And I get 3-day hit. And it started not last night, but the night before. So I'm on day 2, technically. By 8 o'clock tonight, I think it'll be the end of day 2. And 8 o'clock tomorrow will be the end of day 3. But I'm in Facebook jail. And so I can see posts, but I can't post anything. I can't even post from YouTube to announce over there for anybody to see those announcements. YouTube is shadow banning you for the not sending notifications to the dinging your videos and not allowing the member you option to be. Yeah, I wonder about that, Carly. I do. I wonder about the memberships levels. No, I'm sorry, not the memberships, just my subscription levels. According to my subscriptions, I lost 5 to 10, something like that, subscriptions just in the last week. Now, maybe people just don't like what they're doing. And I don't have, my numbers aren't high, and I don't like to talk about that too much. But for doing this show for 2 years now, over a year and a half with Odyssey, doing my live streams before that, I've got just slightly over 1,000 subscribers. And I don't know what it takes. I know that there are some other people that I've been associated with that have 50,000 subscribers in a couple of years. Is my content weak? Do I not draw people in? Maybe people don't like my style, they don't like the content of what I talk about, and it doesn't draw a lot of people in. So so I got to look at that. If on the business side, if I want to make this a business, which it is in part, this is part of what I do for business, to stay alive, to keep the lights on, and so on. It's interesting. They've only got a slightly over 1,000 subscribers, and I think we've got so far 16 members who have joined, paid a subscription and joined. And so getting that message out there is part of the problem, because Rainey gets on me sometimes about, you talk too much about the money part of it. I said, well, I'm just trying to be honest with people. Why do I do that? Why do I have memberships? It's to make some money. I don't want to hide that fact. And she said, it's okay to mention that. Just don't stick on it too long. So, maybe I'm making too much of a case out of it. But yeah, we've got memberships and a join button here. The only reason those exist for anybody is so they can hopefully create a revenue stream coming in off of their time. And when you look at it this way, for this radio show, just since I've been on Odyssey, I could tell you right now, just since I've been on Odyssey, I have, I'm just going to look and I'm going to tell you how many shows I have that I've done. Since I have been on Odyssey, I have all episodes. It should tell me I have 370 videos up for since I've been on Odyssey Radio. And we started August 19th with Odyssey Radio last year of 2019. And so in 2019, I've put up 370 videos. That's videos and live streams combined with some of the live streams that we've done. We've done maybe a dozen live streams with Odyssey. And so I've got 370 videos. So I look at it and I say, I have put in 370 hours over the last year of radio time. Now, compared to a full-time job, that's nothing. But that's just the airtime. I put in at least, bare minimum, another hour of research. Sometimes for me, research is, I call up a book and I read through something that I've already read before and I've already done, and I say, I'm going to talk about this. And so I put all that stuff, I put sometimes minimal research time, and I'm going by the seat of my pants, and other times off the top of my head. Other times I'm reading things that I've written down in great detail. And when you add it all up, so that's the amount of time I put in. So there's 370 hours of live video time. There's another at least 370 to probably 1,000 hours of research just for the radio show. And remember, at the same time, I was doing live radio with Rocky too for another hour of up until about 2 months ago. I was doing live radio with Rocky. And so I did 2 hours of radio airtime per day. So you can double that video time. And so all of that to say, not complaining about anything, not doing anything. But since I started the discussion about it, memberships, I know what it's like to try to get memberships. For instance, and I've used this before, when I was with TAPS Paramag, with the Ghost Hunters, and I was the editor-in-chief of that magazine. Now, they struggled for a while in there. They had some problems. They didn't publish for several months. That's the time I came on board. They were trying to decide back in 2009 if they were going to keep the magazine or just bankrupt it. And they hadn't published for 6 months. And Jason and Grant came to me and asked me if I would be willing to come on board as the editor-in-chief. And I said, I would love to do that. And they said, we can't pay you anything to start, but if you can help, we'll do this and that. And many times they flew me out to events. They put me up in hotels with different things they were doing around the country. And I followed them around, and I got this set up. I did tarot readings at their events and things like that. And hey, Darth, how you doing? I just saw Teresa say, Darth brother. And Darth, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. Nice to have you here. And so there is when I went on and came on with them, they had about 10,000 subscribers, and they were dropping for their magazine. And this is a physical magazine. And I was able to come on. I said I put out an announcement letter to the entire mailing list. So over 10,000 emails, and I did a group email to all of those, a form email, if you will. And I said right in the opening, I said, "Hey, everybody, I'm the new sheriff in town, so to speak. I'm the new editor-in-chief, Jimmy Johnson over at Beyond Reality Radio. He was the new publisher that bought up the magazine, and he was my boss." And I said, we're here, and I'm sorry to do a form letter, but I can't personally sit down and write 10,000 of you. I said, so here it is. Here's what's going on. Here's what we want to do. Here is my expectation. Here's what I'm bringing to the magazine. This is where I want the magazine to go. I said, we're hoping to expand this into more than just a fanzine for the Ghost Hunters. We want to expand it into other areas, and we want to explore other areas, open it up to other authors. And I said, so here's the shebang. Don't leave. We hope to, and we got every one of those 10,000 people with only a mere handful. We had 5 people that were pissed off with us, that were rating us badly at the Better Business Bureau, wouldn't take any kind of mollification, wouldn't accept anything to try to calm them down. They just wanted to get their complaint out that we were terrible people. And that was back, I even had memes being made of me back in 2009 and 2010 for being a terrible con artist and stuff like this. And I tried to work with all of those people. I wrote them, I called them personally, just to try to settle whatever their issue was. And some of them just didn't want to go, we're done. I'm so offended by blah, 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 that I'm going to badmouth you the rest of my life. And I said, well, have a happy life. I'm sorry you feel that way. And I said, we're all new here. Jimmy is new. I'm new. I said, Jason and Grant are new, but they didn't run the magazine. They owned it. They didn't run it. And I said, we're the new people running it for them. And we're hoping to help you feel better about what happened and show you that we're going to do a lot better with this magazine. Some people didn't want to be placated at all. And so, although that's kind of a negative word, placate. So we went on and we did it. And we made it happen. And we sold 10,000 new subscriptions to that magazine. Now, the magazine is now no longer in business. They aren't publishing anymore. And this is 10 years after I left. But when I left that magazine, the whole point I was getting at, when I left the magazine about a year and a half later, the very next day, it was December 29th of 2010. That's 10 years ago. Now, in just a few days, on the 28th, I had resigned and my resignation was final. And on the 29th, I launched Intrepid Magazine. That's when we launched it, and we started taking subscriptions, pre-subscriptions for that. And I went on Facebook, and after about a month, do you know how many and by the way, when I made that announcement, I had literally thousands of people emailing me, messaging me. This is fantastic. We can't wait to subscribe to your new magazine. So looking forward to this. We got thousands of people doing lip service. And when it came time, I think our subscription for the magazine was initially, and now we're talking 10 years ago, back when magazines hadn't quite died yet. When you've got, a million subscribers like Time Magazine, they can say, for $6 a year, you can get this special. We couldn't do that. We had to take all our printing costs and what we had to pay writers and things like that to be part of the magazine. And I wasn't taking a salary at first either. I was just getting some perks from the organization. And so we charged for Intrepid Magazine. I think we had a $21 subscription for a year, and this was for 12 issues, $21. And our issues were roughly 76 to 80 pages of fantastic stuff. And we weren't selling many ads yet. They even say in the publishing business that if you're publishing a magazine, subscriptions are just the frosting on the cake. You don't live or die off of subscriptions. And that's just a little frosting on the cake afterwards. You live or die based on your sponsorships and your advertising. That's why you can pick up any old magazine. Think of GQ. Think of what are the magazines I get around here? I think Nat Geo is a little different. But you pick up any old magazine and you flip through and look at the number of ads that are in that magazine. That's what pays for that rag to be in existence. And so I was doing a full-fledged magazine every month. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys a link right now, if I haven't done this in the past, to MagCloud. This is where you can see. I only have about a dozen issues up in here, I do believe. I'm going to go, let's see if I can find my own shop over here. It's Intrepid. Intrepid Mag. Let's see if it comes up. It's funny that it didn't take me. Here we go. If you go here, now there's more than just 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this isn't showing everything. Intrepid Mag. Search. And I want to put up a link here because I want you to see what we did. This is, I'm going to click on just one of the magazines here, and I'm going to go back to the actual Intrepid Mag shop, which is, hang on, folks, hang on. There's 10 other publications, it says here. So yeah, we did 13 of the publications are actually up in here. We did a digital magazine every month that we released digitally. And what I did, and Nat Geo did the same thing at the time. Nat Geo, if you wanted to see the digital version of Nat Geo, all it was a PDF of the magazine. Some of the links were clickable, but you couldn't like click on things and take it. It wasn't fully interactive digital. It was the magazine pages burned into digital format and put into a PDF. And so let's see if I can find publishers who buy copies, sales, promote. I want to see if I can find for you the link to get in to see all of Intrepid Magazine's print-on-demand issues. Here we go. Here is the link. I'm going to copy this. Now, the reason I'm putting this up, just because we're talking about it, bang, there's the link for you right there, MagCloud. Now, you can go back. These issues are 10 years old, 9 and 10 years old, some of them. Not every issue we published is up in here digitally, but if you go here, you can purchase the hard copies, and they're not cheap. It's like purchasing a book. If you go right now and you buy a new hardback book at Barnes and Noble, what's it cost you from a new author? $27, $30 for a hardback book. A new trade paperback costs you anywhere from $16 to $22 to buy a trade paperback. So what we did with these magazines, we created a square bound, so you can stack them on the shelf and it looks nice. It's got all the volume information printed on the spines. And we did this, and it was 76 to 80 pages. So they're about 1/4 of an inch thick. Nice papers, full color. You can buy those, or you can just go over and look at the issues. I've got this set up, so if you go to that link, you can click on any one of those given issues, and you can open it up, and you can actually, and the page flips for you when you hit the little corner, and flip it. You can flip through the entire issue, and you can read it and enjoy it over there in its digital format. If you like an issue, you can buy it and put it on your shelf. I used to have all the issues, several copies, and we used them as giveaways and stuff like that. Over the years, they all just depleted. I've got the one left, and it's tucked in somewhere around here, the one with John Ward on the cover. We've got that issue. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. And so that's how the one with Walter Crittenden, if you take a look at that, there's 2 issues specifically. There's one with Chip Coffey on the cover. You see his big face with his little round glasses on the front cover. That was the preview issue that we put together, selling subscriptions to the magazine. So that wasn't even number 1. Issue number 1 was the one with Walter Crittenden on the cover. You see him, and it says down near the bottom, the headline, "Ancient Path to the Future" was his article that he wrote for that magazine. And that's the number 1 issue that we did. And there's even an issue in there. The Intrepid Paradigm Press Kit is in there. That's not a magazine. The proposal book, this was for investors. That's in there. Then we have also the Exodus Reality Itinerary magazine, which is kind of repeated in the Intrepid March-April of 2014 magazine, where it's got the group of us on the front cover that we took to Egypt. But the one that's got the black header and it says Exodus, and you see that picture of John and I walking with our shadows being cast toward Luxor Temple. That issue was the issue that we printed up. We printed these specifically for people who came on that trip. This was their trip book that told them about everything that we were seeing and what we were doing and so on. So all those issues are up in there. And so, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Thank you, Roger. But all of that to say, after all of that, when we started promoting this, I had the Chip Coffey issue finished in digital format. People could come and look at it. This was for free. We sent that out to thousands of people. Do you know how many subscriptions we got off of our this is maybe just a testament to Facebook. We got 12 subscriptions off of Facebook. And now many more subscribed after that, and they were also on Facebook. But our Facebook advertising, we only got 12 subscriptions. So that's the way this stuff works. In talking about my YouTube and memberships and stuff like that, it's how it works. You have to reach so many people in order to get so much return. They would say if you do a print ad, now this is when I was in advertising, if you did a print ad or a digital ad, that if you got 1 to 2% return on your ad, that was phenomenal. 4% was almost astronomical. So let's say we do an ad on Facebook, and I pay for that ad, and there are 100,000 people that respond to that ad. 1% to 2% is the normal turnaround on something like that. So if you're paying for 1,000 impressions, you can expect to get about 100 people that would see that. And 100 people would be, 1,000 would be 10%. So yeah, 100 people. And so that's the way it works. Now, out of those 100 people, if you get subscriptions, you're shooting gold. And so thank you, Teresa. That's what we put into every issue of Intrepid magazine. And by the way, for those of you who are members, where it says that you will be getting a newsletter, along with, I haven't done the first one yet, but it's going to be like a mini version of Intrepid magazine. I'm going to lay it out the same way. When I used the reference point, if you ever saw Intrepid Mag, this is what you're going to get. It's only going to be a 4 to 6 page newsletter as opposed to a 75 to 80 page newsletter. So there you go. And that's where I made, by the way, a lot of people that I know in this industry, I made through my term at the Ghost Hunters magazine, TAPS Paramag, and all those events. And when we published that magazine, and I made a lot of contacts and knew a lot of people, met a lot of people, hung with a lot of people. And then when we started Intrepid magazine, you can see the people that contributed to that magazine. Now, some people contributed for nothing because the magazine wasn't making money, by the way. You know why? We didn't have a lot of advertising. You know why we didn't have a lot of advertising? We didn't have a lot of circulation yet. We had maybe at our peak about 2,200 subscribers to that magazine, which if we had gone to print every month, would not have covered the cost of printing the magazine. And so, and distributing. Now, we did talk to the distributors. I had all these contacts through TAPS Paramag. I had all these distribution contacts. And they said, what you've got to do for us, Scotty, we worked with you with TAPS. It's different. They had a television show backing them up and everything. When we took them on, they only had 10,000 subscribers, but they still distributed. But you had to distribute with a return policy. All these magazines you see on the shelf, many of them are returnable, meaning if a store doesn't sell that magazine, they have to return it. They can return it and get their money back and get credited. So, so Teresa, your public page is being held back here on YouTube or on Facebook? Look back a little bit. Oh, Facebook is asking you to pay them to push your page. Yep. And you know what? It's being held back. Some people can see it. A trickling handful of people can see it. Those pages are like that. If I put up an ad for anything on Facebook, it's free. If I just say, hey guys, come over and buy my book, buy my new book, and you see that ad, if they see the algorithm picks up that you're selling something, they make sure that fewer people see it because they want you to pay for advertising on Facebook. So, so all that to say, right now with this channel pushing subscriptions for my show, it's going to take a lot more than word of mouth helps, but you got to push it if you want to be in that category. And that becomes then the full-time job. It was like the Paradigm Symposium. When I put on those symposiums every year, we started, the first one was in 2012. And we ran, I think we only did 4 symposiums, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, we had financial issues and we had to postpone. We lost a bunch of money that we put down at a hotel. Because we couldn't make up the rest of the payment in time because we had lost a huge sponsorship. Excuse me, it was supposed to be a $35,000 sponsorship, and we lost that. And like 2 weeks before the show. We had to postpone. We didn't cancel the show. We postponed it for about 6 months. We said, we're going to move this into the spring. We had some people really pissed off because they couldn't make it to the spring. And we had a policy. It was right there on the website. When you bought your ticket, non-refundable. You can exchange it. You can trade it. Now, maybe some people think that that's scamish all by itself. We said, once you pay for this, it's non-refundable. You can use it next year for the next, if we do another symposium, or you can transfer it to somebody else. You can sell it. But once that's done, I said right out in the open in the terms, it's because we have to pay for things ahead of time. And when we lost that over $10,000 at a hotel, we had signed a contract and we couldn't make that payment in time, and we lost it. We had to postpone. We had to push the symposium out. That was one of probably, if I could think of any moment in my adult life that was in business, but I went through divorce and stuff like that, and I had my kids and tangled up in that. That was heart-wrenching. But to have a moment in time where I think was at, to say my lowest, it degrades it a bit. It makes it sound like it's a depression or a discouragement. But where I was at my absolute lowest point was the moment I had to write that email and hit that send button to everybody at the symposium saying, I have to cancel. Well, it was actually a postponement. I have to postpone this because we didn't make it. We had problems. And I hit that enter button and I just sat back and I was like, oh man. And it was a dark day. And it quickly sped up though, because over the next few months we raised enough money and we replaced it. We opened the doors for that symposium. We honored every one of the tickets that was there. We sold enough new tickets to open up the doors in a new place, and to pay for all the airfare for the traveling speakers, to pay for all the hotels, transportation, all of that stuff is in there. And we didn't have a hotel that was set up for us specifically. We just had a hotel where we paid for a block, guaranteed a block of rooms for our speakers and for guests. And it was about a mile from the venue. And we had people complaining because we didn't have shuttles. We ran a shuttle or two back and forth, but we didn't have an official shuttle service hired. They had to use the hotel shuttle to get back and forth, stuff like that. So it was a watered down version of the symposium, but we made it and we made it happen. We worked our butts off to make it happen. And that's where just a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from somebody who said, are you ever going to do another Paradigm Symposium? It was out of the blue. Somebody who had been to one of the first 2 or 3 symposiums we did. And are you guys ever going to do this again? And I said, that's where I said very tongue in cheek. I said, when God sticks his bare buttocks out of the clouds and takes his hands on his rump and makes his butt talk like a mouth and says, Scotty, you will do a new Paradigm Symposium. I said, until God does that, I said, I probably won't. Because like publishing, like everything I've ever done, it's all, the symposiums were fantastic fun and a great time. And I got all these dignitaries and celebrities and authors and notable people in as our speakers, and met great people that bought tickets to come to the symposiums. It was an amazing time of my life, that 5-year stretch in there, 4.5 to 5 years. And amazing times. There were also some really dark times in there too. People got pissed off, people that weren't happy. Eric von Daniken got really pissed off at us because that 1 year where we had all that financial problem, I had to cancel his coming on board. And I asked him up front, I said, if you can come on board I said, get here. We'll still pay for your airfare and stuff, but we can't pay your honorarium, your fee, until the day of the show. I said, we're that tight on money. I said, if you can work with us on that, and we're already paying business class for him to fly from Geneva with his assistant. Here, we're putting him up in executive suites. And I say, we can have your dollars to you for your speaking engagement part of this at the show. And you know what? We did. The way it turned out, we had plenty. We did just fine. But he canceled on us because of that. And he spread it all over that we weren't paying him. And Giorgio Tsoukalos took that up and said we weren't paying Eric Von Daniken. Well, Giorgio and I and Micah Hanks, we all had problems with Giorgio a couple of years before that he has not let go of, which I could give you the long sordid tale on that. But we did exactly for Giorgio what we said we would do. And he was mad at us for a different reason. Well, we had reason to be angry with him as well. He did some unethical things. And it's not for this talk. But all of this, and Von Daniken was his friend. So Eric Von Daniken, author of Chariots of the Gods. We had him the very first symposium, first time in 12 years, his first United States appearance. And we got to use that. And he was fantastic when he was here. And so we had a great time with all of that. But we had Von Daniken the next time we were going to have him. We couldn't prepay his honorarium. And we didn't have any trouble paying him last time. We handed him a check for $5,500 for his speaking honorarium at the first Paradigm Symposium. Boom, it was done. And I remember his assistant got on the phone with me when I was saying, look, we can't pay you in advance. And he said to me, well, Mr. Von Daniken had bought a big piece of artwork, and on his way home, he was going to be paying for that, and now he won't be able to, so we will not do your Congress this year, and we will probably never work with you again. I was like, seriously? And that's what got out, was that I didn't pay him. It was because he was doing a bunch of things on a circuit, and we were in the middle. We were flying him from, he and his assistant, flying them from Phoenix to Minneapolis, then to his next engagement in Virginia. That's the responsibility we were taking on for flying him. When we flew him from Geneva, it was a lot more money. Business class from Geneva for the two of them and back. This, I said, I can get you a flight for $99. Well, they were going to charge us, as they did for all of their things, a huge amount of money. They had lined up this huge itinerary, and everybody had to pay their share of like $5,000 a piece to fly them all around the country to these different things. And I said, I'm not paying $5,000 to fly the both of you up from Arizona. And that was one of the problems. I said, and I can't pay your honorarium until you're actually here. Well, as it ends up, he still flew to Minneapolis. He was at the hotel 2 blocks down the street, downtown Minneapolis, but he wouldn't come and speak to his fans. He could have, and we'd have paid him on the spot. But that was the technical side of all that. The wrongdoing for us is we invited him, we agreed to pay his flights and stuff, and then when he backed out because we couldn't prepay him his fee, then we canceled. And so, did we have some wrong in there? Yeah. So, well, let's see what's it. So I had to sit and listen to Giorgio lecture about how if you're asked to speak, you have to get paid for all expenses and the honorarium. It was so awkward at the table. I'll bet, you know what we did for Giorgio? We paid his airfare. He asked for $4,000 to speak at the 2012, our very first Paradigm Symposium. And so we paid him at the symposium. We had $2,000 we gave him. And I said, we still owe you $2,000. Give us about a week to get that to you. And it took us a couple of weeks to get the balance to him. We were tight at the end of the first symposium. And although we made it, and he got paid in full. But then he came back and he wanted to add his girlfriend onto flights. And I said, we're tight as it is. I said, I can't add another person. And that's where he got pissed at us. So the only real gripe that he had against us was that it took us 2 extra weeks to pay him the balance of his $2,000, and we didn't pay for his, I think she's his wife now, we didn't pay for his girlfriend to fly, and which was not part of the original agreement. And so Giorgio, other than that, he got everything paid for. He got his meals on us. He could buy whatever other meals he wanted. He had to buy his own alcohol. He got an executive suite on us, and transportation and airfare and all that. So he got everything he asked for. But there is bad blood between Giorgio Tsoukalos and I because we didn't cover his girlfriend's airfare, and it took us 2 extra weeks to get him his money, the balance of his money, half of his money. So, so there you go. And I was, Teresa, I was the jerk because we ran really thin on money at the end there. And we got him something. We paid for the same show. We paid Eric Von Daniken $5,500 cash. We had 16 speakers at that event. And they ranged from, it was like Eric and Giorgio were the 2 expensive ones. And then it went down, down. And we had some people didn't charge us anything. We had Nick Redfern, prolific author in the paranormal and the weird and the, I think he asked us for $200. If you can do $200, that would certainly be nice. And we paid his airfare and his room. And so, it all depends on who you are and what status you had in that circle. Now, John Ward told me that and I flew him from Egypt, by the way. And he told me that in the scholarly, the academic circles, if you go speak academically, we're not talking, our event was kind of a pop cultural, this fan-based, but it was academic at the same time. But it wasn't an academic, a scholarly symposium through a university or something. John and Maria told me that nobody pays anybody's expenses or honorariums for something like that. You pay your own way to put your work forward. It's very different. And I think I told you this story. The next year we were trying to get Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's the scientist. Best way to describe him, sorry, it's not racial, black dude. And you go, oh, that guy, okay. If you didn't recognize his name. Scientist, very good speaker, been on television shows, has the new Nova or Contact or something like that show that he was doing. I think I told this story before, that the next year we tried to get him for the symposium, and his people were elated to talk to me. We would love to have Neil, Dr. Tyson, come and speak at your event. And so we got down to talking on the phone and making arrangements, and they said, well, now, Dr. Tyson requires $76,000 to speak, and he'll speak for an hour and a half for you, and you'll have to pay his airfare and this. And I said, whoa, 76,000, did you say? And they said, yes. And I said, I kind of laughed and I said, I only get half that. I said, I wonder why. And they were not amused. And I said, frankly, I said, $76,000 is just about our entire budget, which was about $90,000 for that event. And so I said, we really can't have him at that price. And okay, thank you, bye, click. That's what I got. So 76,000. I was still proud of myself for, in my sticker shock, being able to crack a joke. Oh, I only get half of that when I speak. What am I doing wrong? So anyway, all of this, look at this. I've used our coffee time and I'm talking about finances. I don't mean to do that. This is where Rainey says I talk too much about the money part of things. I'm just trying to put in perspective what it takes to get members here or subscribers, things like that. That there are, and people didn't understand with the symposiums. Do you know what it cost us to do a single symposium? About $180,000. My taxes, because I ran the whole show in those years I was doing the Paradigm Symposium, for my taxes, I could show income, revenue stream of nearly $200,000, yet personal income of less than 20. And because of that show. And so you could take in $180,000 and 163,000 of it, that's an actual figure, 163,000 of it went out the door to pay for the symposium. So there you go. Anyway, so am I being unprofessional? Sorry about that. I'm not trying to be, just trying to, this is coffee talk. It's like politics. Sometimes we don't like what we're talking about. I hope this hasn't been distasteful to hear a little bit about some of this background stuff, but and it comes with great stories. I will tell you the falling out. I'll tell you this. Here's a little coffee gossip for you. The falling out with Giorgio Tsoukalos. It started with, we paid for him, got his airfare, got Von Daniken's airfare, and he said, he called Micah and I up on a conference call, and he says, hey guys, he says, I was wondering, he said, now this is a little gossipy, but this is some of the behind the scenes stuff. If you ever heard from, because he was making no bones about how much he disliked us after this event, but he had called us up and said, hey, can I switch my airfare around? Do you mind if can you fly Eric instead of directly to Minneapolis from Geneva? Can you fly him to Boston? And then I'll pick up his airfare from Boston to Minneapolis. He says, I haven't seen him. I said, can you fly in a week early? I'd love to spend a week with him. We're old friends, and he's my mentor, and I hadn't seen him. And I'm like, sure. I said, absolutely. And so we changed his airfare from Geneva to Boston. Then we find out, and now by the way, remember, part of the deal with Eric Von Daniken was that we could use the line. He told us we could use it. Eric said, my first American appearance in 12 years. And this was fantastic. Now, if you don't know who Eric Von Daniken is, we used to say, Eric fucking Von Daniken. You don't know who he is? My wife didn't know who he is. She says, who's this Danken guy? And I said, well, he's the guy who in 1968 wrote Chariots of the Gods. He was the original ancient astronauts in the pop culture guy. And he's written many books since then. And so to get him was a coup. And so we changed his flight around, and he flew into Boston. Now, nobody told me this, part of this. We found out 3 days before our event. I saw something on Facebook, I think it was, or some advertisement saying that Eric Von Daniken was appearing with Giorgio Tsoukalos at the such and such event. Eric Von Daniken's first American appearance in 12 years. And we'd been using that tag by the permission of Eric Von Daniken. Well, this was Giorgio Tsoukalos' event. And so, in essence, he had us fly Von Daniken in early to his event. Didn't tell us that's why he wanted to do that. He just said, hey, we're friends. We haven't seen him. And he has a right to do whatever he wants. If he wants to go speak at an event, that's fine. But then they used our tagline as well. And so we had some trouble with Giorgio over that. And we didn't Micah and I were like, do we even bring it up? Just let it go. Let it go. We're greenhorns at this. We don't know what we're doing fully yet. I don't want to create waves. We let that go. And then there were some of the other issues, which I already mentioned. But there were a couple of other things. Yeah, Teresa, we had to pay for Von Daniken's personal assistant to fly business class as well. First or business would be preferable. And so anyway, I did get a good one-liner out of it, though, and we thought this was great stuff. Von Daniken, his assistant, Ramon, told us, and he had this, this Belgian accent of something like that. And he would say, now remember, there's only one thing for the show. You must remember this, that Mr. Von Daniken does not exist in the mornings. So don't schedule him for anything before noon. And I said, yeah, that's fine. And that was funny. And so Micah and I and John Warden, we were always using that as, remember, whenever it came up, it was something we'd always use. Remember, I do not exist in the mornings. And we actually, his business card, Von Daniken's business card, it says underneath, I do not exist in the mornings. So, anyway, that was one of the funny things. But that's some of the gossip that went around about our Paradigm Symposium. And I have an ad, and I have an ad I put up. I have quotes from Eric Von Daniken saying we were the best run symposium he's ever been to when we started advertising for the next year. Von Daniken saying we were the best run symposium ever. And the people are fantastic. Scotty is fantastic. Micah's fantastic. This is the best Congress I have ever been to. They took care of me, and the Congress, he called it, he says, was phenomenal. And yet the next year, when we had the backer pull out, and we had problems getting him in, and he refused to come, we turned into the biggest louts in the business. So there you go. We were scam artists after that. So we went from the best to being a scam artist. So all over financing. So there you go, folks. That's there's a little gossip. So if you've ever heard that, not to reopen old things, that was back in 2012, 2013 to 2014 that all this stuff was going on. So at the most 6-7 years ago, to 8 years ago. So there it is. Yeah, exactly. And Teresa, that's where I said I was told by Ramon that they needed us to pay for that $5,000 for that airfare from Phoenix to Minnesota to Virginia. We needed to pay that leg of it because Mr. Von Daniken has purchased a very expensive piece of art and must pick it up in Paris on his way home. And I said, I said, as an aside, I said, that's not part of our agreement. I can't help that. And I said, this and that. And we talked about what the agreement had to be. And I said, you know what? I said, I can't pay $10,000 for a piece of art. I don't have that kind of cash, and neither do most of the people attending this conference. So I wouldn't publicize that as a reason if I were you. And so blah, 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 and on it goes. So red flag, red flag. There's an out-of-state car in front of me at McDonald's loaded with Christmas gifts. Aren't they aware that our rulers told us we can't travel for Christmas? Yeah. I would call the police and have them pulled over. Their gifts should all be forfeit to the state. I was going to say, I'm doing so much talking, my coffee is starting to grow cool. And then I thought, hey, that's my job. That's why I'm here. We're here to talk. So anybody here have big plans for Christmas? Despite the COVID stuff. Now, I'm in the state of Wisconsin. We're right across the border. We're 12 miles from the Minnesota border. And Minnesota, everything's shut down. Here in Wisconsin, we don't have the same shutdowns going on. And you can even walk into a store without a mask and not be molested. So it's interesting. I said rather flippantly, nowadays it seems that if you want service in a store, the quickest way to get service is to pull down your mask and stand there for a second. Within a minute, you'll have 5 employees approaching you telling you to put your mask back on. But if you stood there in the hardware section at Walmart and you stood and you started looking around and going, is there anybody that actually works here? You'd stand there for 15 minutes trying to find somebody. You pull your mask down, though, they'll gather around you like vultures on a carcass. And so there you go. So you want good service in a store, pull down your mask. You'll get service right away. And Rainey did that to me the other day. We were in Minnesota. We weren't in Wisconsin shopping. We were over in Stillwater, Minnesota. And she came over to me and she goes, hide me a little bit. And she pulled down her mask. She says, I got to breathe. And she's, and I'm the same way. I get certain kind of claustrophobia that comes with a little bit of asthma that I have. And that is, maybe it's more manufactured than it is actual, but I put on a mask and I'll get dizzy and I can't breathe that way. And then when I feel that, I get that internal claustrophobia type of feeling. I just got to rip the thing off. And I think I told you in the chat room the other night at one of the shows, we were at Target. And where was this? This was Target in Hudson, Wisconsin, which is the city right on the river across the border from Minnesota. And so we're going through the whole store, and I had actually had my mask up the whole time. I had a bandana. I had it pulled up over my face. And I pull it up in such a way that I can breathe underneath. And so it doesn't get so bad. And we were in the store for over an hour, hour and 20 minutes. And we come up to the cash register, and I'm feeling it. And so I pull the mask down and I start unloading my stuff. It was as we were walking into the aisle. And I hear a woman's voice. She goes, "You need to put your mask up, sir." And it was crowded and there were a lot of people. I didn't even look. I just ignored her. And then I heard more of it. And I said out loud, I said something to the effect, if you're talking to me, you need to come and talk to me. Do not yell at me in a crowded store and tell me to do something. I said, I'm not a child, and I don't need to be talked to that way. I said, I'm not a child, and I'm your customer. I said, if you'd like, I can put back the about $200 worth of shit in my cart. But if you want to talk to me, I didn't say that part. But I said, if you want to talk to me and convey a message to me, don't shout at me over a crowd. You come over to me and address me personally. Have a little respect. And I said to the cashier, I said, I've been in this store for an hour and a half with my mask up. And he's got his bandana, his mask up too. And he goes, I don't care. So he's a college-age kid, maybe a little older than that. But I don't get out of hand in public. I do have a problem when people treat me with less dignity or respect. Take out the equation that there are different people with different points of view from different medical points of view on the efficacy of masks. You can take that out of the equation. I don't care what. If you think I am doing something untoward in your store, that you have the right to, from 50 feet away from me, start yelling at me. It wasn't like I had pulled a weapon and I had somebody at gunpoint, yo, drop that weapon over there, you. It wasn't something like that. Sir, you need to pull your mask up. And I'm like, you need to approach me and talk to me. You don't need to yell at me over the crowd. I'm not a child. And I didn't hear another peep. We went through the whole checkout with my mask down. And we made it. And I didn't get infected, and I don't think I infected anybody. So there you go. There's my thing. You can have your own viewpoints on it. I respect that people have points of view. If somebody had come up to me and said, sir, could you pull up your mask? We require it here. I'd say, absolutely. I've been in your store for an hour and 20 minutes, and I had it up the whole time. Just needed a breath of fresh air. Or I'd tell them I've got a little breathing problem. I've got a little asthma. So I sometimes have to pull my mask down. But sure. But when you yell at me across the crowd and treat me like I'm a 5-year-old, you're going to get an adult response. That's all I got to say about that. There's my story at Target. So it's okay to pull down your mask if you're not around people, says Beth. I do it. I've never had a problem. I do it. That's what we did. When we were in an aisle and there was nobody there, I'd either lift the bottom of the bandana up or I'd just pull it down so I could breathe out of my nose. And I get this weird kind of, maybe this isn't weird. Maybe a lot of people get this. I have a weird claustrophobia. There is, When I said last night I was late this morning for this show, I was late because I was up half the night, it seemed. And I got up and I came downstairs and I turned on a show and I couldn't sleep. I was wide awake at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And but what happens to me is I get things like I'll get a little pain. I'll get a chest pain up over here, way up high, like into my shoulder almost. And that's what happened when I had the heart attack 3 months ago. It was, I'm like, oh my God, is that heart? Um, and uh, and so I'll feel that, and it wakes me up, and I'm thinking, okay, common sense. Now you're in your just woke up stupor in the middle of the night. Am I having chest pains or am I having muscular pains? Did I sleep wrong on my shoulder and it feels that? What is it? What is it I'm feeling? So I got up. I get a certain claustrophobia. I sat up in bed and I did that one of those. I go, okay, I think I'm okay. And I laid back down. And in my head, it's like a claustrophobia. It's like I can't get comfortable again. I can't sleep. I'll lay there for a half an hour awake. And it's like I cannot get that comfort back. And so I get up. That's where my insomnia comes from. And it's that weird claustrophobia thing that happens. And that's why I don't sleep at nights. I get it if I can't breathe right, or if I feel that my breathing was shallow and it woke me up, I can't get back to sleep. I got to go downstairs. I got to get up and walk walk around the house and make my coffee at 3:30 in the morning. So and then stay up. Hmm. So there you go. So that's what happened with me last night. That's what happens to me in the store sometimes. I get that claustrophobic. Rainey and I now. Here's a little paranormal exercise for you. Rainey and I were in an old thrift store in Somerset, Wisconsin, here last week, end of last week, and we walked in. It's an old building, and almost immediately, I was feeling like right here in this. You know how you get that? It's kind of a headache, but it's kind of a dizzying headache. I got that right in here, and I could feel it like in the front of my head, and it made my eyes feel dizzy. And we went through that whole store, and we were looking at stuff and not talking too much, just digging around and then quipping at each other, Rainey and I. And I said, "Are we done?" And we bought a couple of things. Yeah, let's go. And we got out, and she pulled down her mask, which I didn't wear one in. It was Somerset, Wisconsin. They don't care about the mask thing. So we walked out. I don't think she had her mask on either. She said, "Did you feel?" She said, "I felt really funny in there." She said, "Every time I go in there, I get this headache thing. Not an ache, not pain, kind of a dizzy." And I said, I got the same thing today. And she said, Rainey said to me, "I wonder if that is like with the paranormal investigating you do. If you go into a place that is very haunted or a place where something's trying to speak to you, you can get that same feeling." And we weren't thinking about it in the store, but afterwards she said, "I wonder if that was something I was picking up." And we both got it when we walked in there. And Rainey and I are very different physiologically. I mean, the obvious externals, but the internal stuff too. Our biology is so different, it seems. Things that affect her and affect me, but we both got that. So it was very interesting. What do you guys think of that? I've had that happen before. And Beth, you say you've had that happen. Do you ever chalk that up to there might be some supernatural, some paranormal thing that's going on there that does that? And I've always said I don't like the word paranormal or supernatural as much as I like natural and normal, because the spirit world, spirit activity, all of that kind of stuff, it's natural. It's there already. It's supernatural because it's outside the realm of what we consider to be normal. And what if that's just normal? That's the way it is. All this stuff exists. And you could easily lapse over into saying, what if the fae, the fairy folk, actually exist? That's something we're going to talk about. Not so much today, but What if they actually exist? I've read some of Yeats' poetry. William Butler Yeats, he was the poet laureate of Ireland back 100 years ago. And I read some of his poetry a month or so ago. And we talked about this a little bit. He was a very big, he was an intellectual, an academic, a poet, an artist, and at the same time, a big believer in the supernatural realms. And he believed in the fairy realm. Now, of course, he was Irish. So you get out into the backcountry in Ireland, even today, and you have a lot of talk of that. You know, you don't do certain things on certain nights. You don't walk by that certain bridge at a certain time on certain nights because of the fae, the fairy folk. And so Beth says, being an atheist and having a leaning towards science, I do think nothing can survive outside of nature. It's an energy. It should be able to be measured. And I agree with you up to a point. I tend to be the same way, Beth, until it gets to these things that you experience but are unmeasurable. Could you measure them? Do we just not have the right equipment to be able to measure the energy? And so that's a big question. And I'm not given to flights of fancy, and I'm not given to being superstitious. You know, I'll walk under a ladder in front of a black cat without, you know, crossing myself or anything like that. Christian incantation, I call it, which I don't do. I probably just didn't do that right, because wasn't there one that was like one down and to the right and left, you're one thing, and if you go this and down to the left and over, you're a different thing. Which one's right? Which one does Jesus like? I don't think Jesus cares. Carnival Row, yes, Roger Rabbit. We watched that a long time back when it first came out on Prime Video. The Fae play a big role in that show. You're absolutely right. Well, nothing to be wrong about it, but it's a fictional television show. So Orlando Bloom, who played Legolas in the Lord of the Rings series, he plays a detective in that. And it's all very Victorian, very steampunky, and it involves the Fae and their interaction with humans. So the good series, by the way, if you want to watch that. Yeah, that's what I believe. You know, when Rainey and I had the ranch, there was somebody that told me that was in the realms of these beliefs that said you ought to give an offering out for the Fae. And I said, really, you think so? Well, it's natural. You've got this ranch. It was 40 acres. We had a big valley in it that cut down, and on that side and on that side, we had forest that was encroaching into at least 15 acres of that side. And so we would go out into the pastures, and we went to each of the four corners of this big square 40 acres. And we found the corners of the land, and we put little offerings out. We put a little plate. It was a paper plate, a little one with a Oreo cookie or a Fig Newton and a couple of crackers and a quarter or something like that, a couple of coins, and a little paper cup of milk. And we'd set those out. Now, did animals eat all that stuff? Probably. Or were there fae that were there? There is no way to prove that, although, as Beth would say, there is a scientific element to all of that where you say, I know the chipmunks are going to get it, and that's it. Ground mice, field mice. But we did that in each of the four corners. And we just put out the energy and said to the fae that may very possibly be here, this is for you. Watch over our place. Now, is that superstitious? Some would say that's highly superstitious. I wasn't sure what I believed about it, but I thought, if there's a possibility that this spirit realm exists, that these types of beings exist, why not let them know that, hey, I'm acknowledging your existence here. And so I don't know what good that did for us out there at the ranch. We eventually lost that ranch. That was in 2008, 2009, the big dip in the .coms, and the market tanked. And the old cowboy we were buying it from on contract for deed wanted the land back and all this, wanted to close down the contract for deed. And I've been through that a couple of times on a couple of different instances. And so, so, that happened. We moved off of the ranch. And, but that's what we had done out there too. Were we placating a superstition? Were we placating an actual beings or actual beings? Were we acknowledging the existence or the possibility of the existence of something? I know in Roman Catholic theology, and I brought this, now I'm not a Roman Catholic, but this is one of the better descriptions I had heard. In, pardon me, in Roman Catholic theology, they said that the spirits in the wars in heaven, which took place before creation and all of that of mankind and so on, in the wars in heaven, that there were beings that were neutral. They weren't in favor of what God was doing. They weren't against what God was doing. They didn't want to be part of the war. And it said that God cast them out of heaven. They were too good for hell, but too bad for heaven. So he gave them the earth, and that this was their domain. This is the spirit of the planet, so to speak, the spirits of the planet. This is the way Roman Catholic mythology teaches it, theology, mythology. And so what you experience here with some of these beings like the Fae, the She, like when I say the She, Shiedh, I think is the way it's spelled, the She, or the She, the She. This is, we get our word Banshee from that these types of beings all exist within a biblical context. They exist. Just like we say, we believe God exists, or we believe that there is a Holy Spirit of God, that these are all things that fit into this category of these weird supernatural beliefs that we have. And so it's interesting. Beth said humans have always need ritual. That's absolutely right. And it's great for our own peace of mind. Imagination in general, all over well-being. That's what I said in my book on the Reptilians. My publisher wanted me to write a book on the Reptilians, and so I did. The Secret History of the Reptilians, it's called. That was my second book with New Page Books. And it started out talking about this, the reptilian thing, the reptilian aliens and all that. And what the book turned into, and I've read it, you can hear it here on my YouTube channel. You can go listen. I read it over a year ago, chapter by chapter. You can go listen to that. But really where the book went was I started digging into the psychology of why we have a need for reptilians to exist. And I just went back to the basics. I went back to Freud and Adler, the two fathers of modern psychology. And I looked at it as there are things we need from our past that make us fill those gaps with things like that. And there are things that we need to see from the future to pull us forward, things that we hope for, things that we find that we fill in those gaps with. And so that's how I wrote that book. It was basically our psychological need for this mythos and these things that may or may not be real, but we need them, and so we create them sometimes. Are they like tulpas? They exist because we have created them and have a need for them. Or are they actual beings that exist outside the realm of what we would call the natural? Are there veils that we cannot pierce with science? Yeah, I think so. But can I prove that? No. I can show evidence of all the things that I've experienced. But my experiences are anecdotal to scientific evidence. Can some of the things that I believe, can I run those through the scientific method? Not all the time. When Rainey and I, if you heard it over on my Facebook channel page, the singing that we picked up at the Water Street Inn in Stillwater back over at the end of November, but about a month ago, when we heard the singing, and this came after Rainey had the intuitional, the psychic impression that an older woman in a dress, Victorian, was leaning over and whispering in her ear to sing the song Loch Lomond. And I told you all this story when it happened. And we were awoken in the middle of the night hearing music. And at first, Rainey thought somebody's playing a radio. And we sat up in bed. And first of all, the hotel was deserted because of all the stuff with the COVID that's going on, all the orders. Rainey worked the hotel as a massage therapist, and that's why she got me in there for my birthday. And so we had the whole place except 2 other rooms, and they were both on the other floor, way at opposite ends. And nobody was playing music in the middle of the night. And you could hear, and that's when I picked up my phone. It's the only piece of equipment. I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to go rummaging for a recorder. I just turned on my phone, my video, and I let it record. And you can hear deeply embedded in the white noise, and I amplified it a bit so we could hear it. That's that piece of music I put up, that you can hear somebody singing. And it wasn't a car outside. It's like I like to say to people, they go, oh, well, you know, it's like people, don't you hate it when you know something, you've got a lot of time put in on whatever the topic might be, or you went to school or something, somebody's always got to tell you, well, it's probably the blah, 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 blah. It's like, shut up. Do you think I'm a rube that just fell off the turnip truck last week? I know how this stuff works. I know what to look for. Now, I know people want to feel important. They want to feel they're contributing. There are some people who are just skeptical and they want to show you how stupid you are by how much they know. Well, yeah. Well, you were tired. It was the middle of the night and you needed to hear something. I had one of my good friends of almost 30 years tell me that once. I said, do you really think I'm that kind of person from what you know of me? And they go, well, no, I guess not. I know you better than that. I said, so don't use that argument with me. So anyway, we heard singing and we quickly were able to rule out what it sounded like was that it was inside our room. It was like coming from behind our heads. And all there was a wall. The room on either side of us, there was nobody staying, nobody else on our floor. And the only other 2 people in the hotel was a guy way down at the other end on another floor and somebody else way down the other end. And the night people said there was no music playing and they didn't hear anything. And there was nothing, bars are closed. And of course it was about 3 a.m. So we're hearing this singing. And if I can find the link, I can put that up again. If you haven't heard it, it's really hard to hear. You've got to listen very closely. You almost have to put on a headset and hear, but you can hear it without this thing that I put up. And I don't know if I can even find it right now quick enough to show you where that is, because I put that piece of music up. But all you hear Rainey and I talk a little bit. You hear shifting on the bed. You can hear the sheets moving, things like that in a couple of spots. But I was like, shh, let's be very quiet and listen. And you can hear a voice that's going, and you hear a tune, but it's so faint that you can't make out the melody. And if it were a car, you'd hear the boom, 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 boom. You didn't hear any of that. You heard a singular voice. And you have to listen to it very closely. I sent that to a friend who was in the paranormal. I said, what do you hear? Can you hear anything in this? And he listened and he said, you know what I heard? I heard what sounded like a woman singing. And he said it was a definite tune. He said it sounded sad and almost ballad sounding. He says, that's what I heard. Tell me about this tape. What's this from? And so I told him the story. So it's very interesting. And Beth, I've had more experiences you can shake a stick at. No proof. There's no way to falsify them. And it drives you nuts. It's the same thing here. If I could rule out what we try to do when we pick up anything, photograph, tape recording, anything, you try to go through and falsify it. So you can, in order to debunk something, you have to have evidence presented. That's like this whole thing. Now, I know, Beth, this might drive you nuts, and Teresa, I just have to say this because I heard this put this way regarding the election and people who have made claims that they think that there was a fraud in the election, whatever the whole cadre of things are that they claim. And they said, the interesting thing is people say it's been debunked when it really hasn't been. You have to have a presentation of evidence in order to have something to debunk. So nothing's been debunked. It's just the claims have been denied. So it's that kind of thing with the paranormal as well. You can't just claim something and have it debunked. You have to present your evidence and have somebody listen to your evidence or view your evidence, and they can debunk it from that. You have to examine something in order to debunk it. So like you, Beth, I've had lots of experiences. I've had a shitload of things that I've experienced that I haven't had a camera on it or a tape recorder, but you experience something. What is that? It's like my experience at the tomb of Senenmut back in 2013 in Egypt. Can't debunk it. I was the only one there. All I can do is relate my story. And so that's where it tends to get a little bit nutty. So, oh, you got to go, Teresa. See ya if you're already gone. See you later. Thanks for being here. There is a delay. There's about a 30-second delay here. So who's coming in? Who's coming in? And I'm going to, oh, look. Come here, baby. Oh, somebody woke up. There's my Ellery. Say hi to everybody.
Bubbles.
Yeah, that's your go-to, isn't it? So how you doing today?
Bubbles.
Oh, do you know you guys came home from Grandpa's birthday party last night? You crawled on the sofa with me and got under a blanket and went right to sleep. Mom carried you upstairs.
Bubbles.
Yeah, Bubbles. Blah, blah, blabbity, blabbity, blah. Good to see you. You the only one awake? Flynn up? Is Rowan up? Is Mom up? Oh, Mom's up. Oh, that's right. Mom's got massages today. So, folks, I've been going for, what is it? We started at 6:37. Oh, we've been going almost 2 hours this morning. So I'm gonna call it quits here now for morning coffee. You've all got your stuff to do in the morning too. So we have learned this morning one thing is that we finally got the members only chat to work. And so we talked for about a half an hour and then we opened it up to the public. And that's where the rest of you came in. So if you're not a member, hit the join button, become a member. If you're just listening, I'd love that. That helps me. It gets you some special perks. As I mentioned earlier, if you dig back here, I can probably paste it in here again. This is the style for those upper memberships that you get a newsletter. And it's going to be done like the old Intrepid magazine. If you go to that link that I just posted in there, you can go take a look at the old Intrepid magazines that we put up that you can purchase. They're not cheap. You know, they're it's $17 to $20 or something per issue, the way they're put together over there. They're premium issues, but that's how we released the Intrepid mag in digital form. I'm going to do some of those for the upper crusty membership level here, the extreme Intrepid, I think it is, or something like that. That's you will get not a full 80-page magazine, but you'll get 3 to 6 to 8 pages. We're going to try to do that every month, and I'll start the first one probably between Christmas and New Year's, and so you'll get something like that. But you can go over there and you can flip through any one of those magazines for free without having to purchase. And you can look at it, and if you want to buy one, you can buy one. I think it's very cool. I don't make anything off of it. I think I make 25 cents for every issue sold over there. And we sold a few of them over the years, but there's about 12 issues up there you can take a look at. So there you go. You want to try the frequency in the sand trick? Yeah, that would be very interesting. We should do an experiment of that and film it and put that up as a members only video. And the geometric shapes it creates in person. I've seen that. You've seen it without even knowing you were running an experiment. You're at the beach, you're at a picnic, you're at whatever, you got sand on the table, whatever it is, you hit your fist on that table, the vibration is it creates geometric shapes. Now try that with sound only and see what you get. All right, folks, I'm going to go because I want to see my wife a little bit before she's got to take off for her massages. Thank you for coming in tonight, 9 p.m. Central Standard, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Left Coast time. We've got the Intrepid Radio program. So come on in for an hour of talking about, again, holy and sacred language. And we're going to hit a little hard and heavy the topic of Enoch and where he fits into all of this, the book of Enoch. So you guys all have a good day. Roger, you have a great day too. Audrey, Beth, Teresa, if you're already gone, others who are in here, Darth Nagayan, everybody else who came in, thank you for being here. And some of you have already had to take off for the day. So you have a fun day. We'll see you a little bit later tonight. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.